Hello, Pinch Payments merchants, partners, and future potential clients. Thank you all for jumping on the Pinch Masterclass for April. I will wait a little while to allow some people to jump on because we have quite a number of registrants today. Hopefully everyone can hear me all right. Let me just adjust my microphone and make sure that everyone can see and hear me. If any of you are already currently watching, if you can hear me or you can't hear me, or you want to help me adjust my volume or anything like that, just let me know to ensure that we can kick off in a moment. Awesome. All right, got some more people starting to jump in here. That is brilliant. Oh, someone named Riot just jumped in. Try not to cause one. Oh, I'm really not funny. Thank God they don't pay me for that, right? Alrighty, cool. All right, we'll just wait a couple more minutes. For anyone who's already responded in the chat, Isabel, Sue, and Mariana, can you all hear me? Do I sound all right? Everything's coming through reasonably well? No responses from anyone. I know you've got me, all good. Sweet, fantastic. That is good to see. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to get my screen share set up so that I can have it already loaded, ready to go. Alrighty, so we do have a little bit to cover in this session. It's going to be slightly different to some other sessions, but the content that we're going to be covering and the features and how to actually utilize them is really, really important. So, all right, it's 1 minute past 12. We've got a number of people already here. For anyone else, if you do arrive late and then you watch back the recording, that's perfectly fine. For anyone else who isn't attending live today, you will be able to watch back the recording as long as you've registered. And for anyone here, if you need to share the recording with anyone, you'll be able to do so after. Alternatively, you can send the registration link to anyone that you need to, and they'll be able to register and retroactively watch back the session. We also upload these, to YouTube as well. So if you do want to watch back via another platform, you'll be able to see our Pinch Payments account on YouTube. Excellent. All right, let's get stuck into it. Let me bring up my first slide, our overview. Can everyone see this slide? Can I just get a slide check, so to speak? The old testing 1 2 1 2. Hopefully everyone can see this slide in the screen. So welcome to the Pinch April Masterclass. We're going to be covering two things today. The first, but actually in reverse order, so I'll be talking about this last. Some of you might have seen the news that we were recently acquired by a acquirer called Fiserv. If you're not familiar with Fiserv, Fiserv is one of the largest acquirers in the world, and they have acquired Pinch for a variety of reasons. I'll be covering a few of the main things that are important to know about what this acquisition means. But sort of briefly talking, the most important things that nothing about the Pinch Payments that you currently have is going to change, and it's just going to get better. So we're still the same team. We still operate as Pinch Payments, and we'll still be delivering you all the merchant payment services that you currently enjoy, and hopefully we'll have a whole bunch more exciting things in the roadmap for you very soon. So that's something that we'll talk about. But the main thing that we're here to talk about is steps to eliminating late payment in your business. So there's three components to this, which I'll touch on, but that's what this session is all about. Thank you all for confirming that you can see the slides. Let's move on to the first one. So for any of you who aren't aware or you're not overly familiar with Pinch Payments, it was founded by two Australian software developers, Ben and Paul, back in 2017. So we have been in market now for quite a while. And we've sort of slowly been growing our presence and really taking it, to the competitors out there and making our presence very well known. And obviously, you're all here, so you either know about Pinch Payments or you're looking to find out more. Recently, Fiserv acquired us. The main reasons are to help speed up our feature development and our ability to reach out into wider markets, be them new markets or offering alternate currencies and all sorts of things like that. So there's going to be some really exciting stuff coming in the future there. If you're not really familiar with what the sort of philosophy and mission of Pinch Payments is, put very, very simply, as the slide shows, we're all about eliminating late payment in small business. So I guess the two founders really saw an opportunity to help small business fix their problems of late payment, be it proactively or retroactively with a set of our various features. But we're really here to help you. We're really about business enablement, and our vector for doing so is giving you payment solutions that actually aren't just simple, click button, take payment, but there's a bunch more functionality and support on offer there that help you actually solve the problems of late payment in small business. So that's what we're all about. And if you don't already know, we integrate with Xero, QuickBooks, and Maya, but the main accounting system providers that we connect with, but we also have a variety of other third-party applications that we actually connect with, things like Sin7, Quick B2B, Pool Tracker, and a variety of industry-specific systems like CRMs and payment gateway systems and things like that allow you to connect Pinch into those systems. So we aren't just accountants accounting integration business anymore. We are constantly expanding our offering out. So for any of you that don't know, that's Pinch Payments in a nutshell. So let's get on to what we're going to be talking about, and I'll start to sort of screen share and work our way through one of our test systems to show you a variety of these features. We can, at a later date, do some deeper dives on specific features, which I have planned in our roadmap of webinars coming up, which will really investigate how to maximize a specific feature in every capacity for multiple different industries. But this is a little bit more high level to ensure that you at least know about these things. So let's talk about steps to change, right? So changing the way that you take payments now that you're using Pinch or you're looking at using Pinch will be quite fundamental to your success with the system, right? You can, if you want to, very easily just plug Pinch in as a payment link on your invoices and continue to do the old cross my fingers, hope my customer pays me. But we've got a lot of data, given that we have thousands of merchants, to show that that just doesn't really work. And then if you actually want to address and solve the problems, you've really got to activate your customers by using a variety of the features in our system. So the three things that we're going to be going through, and within each three of these sections, we have sort of feature specific things or process specific things that we'll be discussing that can help you target these key areas, right? So whether or not you're an established business or a relatively new business, you are likely to have all three of these client types: the new customers, the bad customers, and the good customers, right? So the things that we're going to be talking about: new customers. So we're going to be talking about how you can actually change your onboarding process to ensure that you don't create a bad customer out of this person, right? So that's the first one. The second one is our bad customers. So this is going to have a combination of features that you can use to try and convert those customers into good ones, but also some process steps that you can make to potentially get rid of them, or, like I said, continue to change their behavior to turn them into a better customer. And then the last one is your good customers, right? So for a lot of the businesses that come to Pinch Payments, they will well and truly be established, and they'll already have a collection of all three of these. A lot of the time, we don't want to rock the boat with good customers. So sometimes Pinch, new Pinch merchants will effectively just not use Pinch for those customers. It's definitely a missed opportunity to create even more cash flow certainty and automation to just improve your customers' quality of life. And I'll be going through some great features that showcase that. So before I get started and move on to my changing your onboarding, which is our sort of like addressing the new clients, does anyone have any questions at all? Doesn't look like we have any questions so far. If you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. It looks like DK, one of our technical team members, is in the chat today. if there's tech relevant questions, I'm sure he'd be able to answer them. But for the most part, I will just do periodic checks and sort of circle back and answer any of your questions as they come up. So cool. All right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to drop off this screen. Oh, sorry, not this screen. Steps to change. This one. We're going to talk about this, and then I'm going to start to show you some of the things that are going to help you address this issue. So changing your onboarding, right? Pinch works best when you change the way that you onboard your new clients, or at least make considerations about how you can improve the way that you onboard your new clients. So the things that we're going to be talking about here is the concept of mandating pre-approvals, right? So mandating a pre-approval is effectively potentially from a contractual level or an agreement between you and your client and how you want to operate your business. You start to require the setting up of pre-approvals as the minimum requirement of doing business with you. So instead of, issuing invoices to someone and, selling them services or products or whatever it is and allowing them to accrue a debt or not pay you on time, up front, you set the expectation with your client that you are expecting pre-approval and you won't conduct a business until the pre-approval is done. Without a doubt, this is the number one most effective way to fix the late payment problem in your business. It will make the most immediate impact. As soon as you start to onboard new clients, if every single one of those new clients is getting onboarded, all of, little asterisks, right? All of your clients will be having their invoices paid on time, and your late or no payment problem goes from being potentially large to non-existent, right? So this is something that we'll chat about. The next is how to do full auto debit, right? To auto debit everything. And then how you can do merchant initiated actions in the system. So this is basically where you can take payments over the phone or set people up on pre-approvals over the phone. And then the last one is one of our features that allows you to incentivize the acceptance. So when we use the word acceptance, it means acceptance of payment, right? So we can incentivize acceptance with one of our features and make it far more enticing to your customer to actually want to set up the pre-approval. So that's going to be something. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is mandating pre-approvals, right? It's super, super simple to make this change, but at the same time, it can be the hardest one and the one that I see businesses sometimes not do, and it does really hurt in the long run. So the main reasons why people don't pay you is because they either can't afford to, they don't want to, or there's some other obstructing thing in the way of them paying you, right? Maybe a disagreement on the service and things like that. The last one that actually affects payers the most is they just forget, right? You send them the invoice, they open it up and they go, oh, I'll get Susie to pay that later, or I'll get John to pay that later, or I'll pay that later, right? And their day gets busy, like all business owners does, and they forget about it, right? And now all of a sudden you've gone from potentially being paid on time to being not paid on time, right? Because that client probably exhibited the ability to pay you on time and wanted to and just forgot. By setting up a pre-approval, what you are effectively doing is you are asking your client for their permission to store and their authority to use the stored payment method to automatically debit all of their invoices going forward. And that is the default configuration. Now, there's a variety of things that you can do to customize that, which I'll talk about in a minute, but that is what it is at a blanket level. It's all about automating the collection of the payment by ensuring that you have a payment method on file. Now, what that looks like in the actual system is finding a customer that would have synced over from your accounting system, clicking into their record, and either hitting this button here that will send a pre-templated invitation for your customer to set up a pre-approval, or, and this is more important for the mandation of pre-approvals, if you're issuing contracts or service agreements or getting your client to sort of sign some sort of engagement with you, what you can actually do is you can copy their sign-up link, embed it in that form or agreement or whatever it is, and create a process and a step for them to complete that before you engage the service with them, right? All of the data that we have in our system indicates that when a business that starts that mandates pre-approval up front, almost every single client that they already had or have in the future accepts that pre-approval with no issues whatsoever. People appreciate the transparency and the professionalism of you being upfront about how you take payment in your business. And literally 95+% of people will not even bat an eye when you ask them, hey, this is my process. I do this because I want to get paid on time so that I can do my job properly for you. And they'll all sign it. They'll have no troubles with that whatsoever, right? So if you make that that change sooner rather than later, it is going to pay massive dividends over the lifetime of your receiving payment in your business, right? So you copy this link, you put it somewhere, you get them to sign it. What it looks like, and I'll just wait for it to load, is an agreement form that allows your client to select from the 2 different payment sources that we currently offer, card or bank account, and they can select which one of these they would like to set up on the Pinch pre-approval, right? Now, there's a few custom configuration options that you can make. You can see here that I've got this section with custom text, which I'm just sort of bolding and alerting here. You can apply your own custom text in this field, in this section, if you want to improve the communication and understanding for your client. And if you choose to add a terms and conditions link that you might have separately, we add this little line that gives you your client the ability to review the T's and C's, right? Really important if you have any sort of sticky sort of stuff that needs to be communicated to your client about your services, really good to include here. But as your payer, all I need to do here is basically fill this out and confirm, and I'm now on a pre-approval, meaning whenever I raise an invoice, it's going to be debited or attempted to be debited on the due date of that invoice, be it card or bank account. Now, you obviously notice here as well that this credit card option currently has a surcharge being applied. You inside of the Pinch system can pass on the surcharge to the card or the bank account, or both or neither. It's entirely up to you, and it's a very simple configuration wizard that you can go through that will set that up for you. In our experience, most businesses pass on the card fee and absorb the direct debit fee. By absorbing the direct debit fee, you're creating a free payment option for your client, meaning they're not being charged additional fees. And this is really, really helpful to increase your acceptance, which is that next thing that I'll talk about in a moment, right? So that's pre-approvals in a nutshell. I'm just going to quickly take a look at this question from Jackson. Jackson, look, that's a really good question. It's not quite correct what you've said about having to set up people individually. When you set up surcharging in your account, it's done from the account settings tab here, where you can set your default surcharge settings. When you're a new account, you don't have any customers on pre-approval, when you apply these changes, they will be applied to all records that do not have a pre-approval already, meaning it will go and update all client records. However, if you need to make any bulk sweeping changes to your surcharge settings, you can select all of your clients and hit this button up here. It says set surcharging, and you can go and apply your relevant surcharge settings en masse to any of the selected clients from this little wizard, right? So you can do that in bulk. In terms of your specific case here, if you have a bunch of clients already and you're thinking about the idea of maybe removing them all first, then bringing them in to Pinch, it's entirely up to you, whichever you think is going to be more efficient. I would probably say for the most part, if it's a client record that you've created invoices and things for already, please don't remove those, right? Because you could probably get in a lot of trouble in terms of the actual accounting requirements of that and sort of having a trail of that history. But for any clients that you've not done any business with, up to you if you remove them and create a new one. I would probably say for the most part, it's just easier to disable the people that you don't want to be in Pinch. So let's say, for example, Who Wilder here, or maybe like Thomas, is this actually a supplier that someone incorrectly categorized as a customer, which is why Pinch would have synced it over. It's really simple to just checkbox them and hit disable, and that will remove them from Pinch, and then therefore Pinch won't do anything with that customer ever, right? So hopefully that explains or that answers your question, Jackson. If not, we can have a little chat about it at the end of the session. Awesome. All right. So heading back to this page, full auto debit or merchant initiated. So I briefly mentioned being able to open up the pre-approval pages. I didn't really talk about what merchant initiated is, but there are a variety of ways to do it. So I've already talked about the full auto debit. So that's where you just set your client up on a pre-approval and you don't make any adjustments to the settings. Every invoice that you then create for that client would automatically be debited on the due date. I'm going to quickly show you some of the settings that you can change that would allow you to shift that more towards a hybrid model or potentially a fully merchant initiated model, right? So what those settings are from in here in the zero config section. So in this case here, it would be a QuickBooks config and things like that. In Xero, you do have the ability to disable auto debit entirely, meaning on a specific branding theme, you can basically say, I don't want this type of invoice to be automatically debited for my client. And what that then results in is when we're looking at our payment page, say, for example, an outstanding invoice or maybe a scheduled invoice, you'll start to see these little buttons next to the line item for the invoice. What this little button indicates is that we have a payment method stored on file, a pre-approval for this client, but some form of configuration has told us not to automatically debit this. To do a merchant initiated payment, you can basically click this button, hit process, and you can process a payment attempt right now for that payment manually with, basically facilitated from that stored payment method that your client gave you. And some of the configuration options, like the one I showed you by disabling monitor for auto debit, are available. But if I actually click into this client, you can actually also completely disable auto debits, which shifts the pre-approval from an unlimited pre-approval, meaning it just does everything, to a limited pre-approval, with the specific limit for this being that we don't want to automatically collect payment. Olivia, if I untick the accept direct debit, confirming this does not allow the customer to pay via bank account. Correct. That is what that would do. It basically removes direct debit as an option when the client is either attempting to sign up to a pre-approval or making a payment from one of our various payment pages. Cool. All right. So I've just mentioned one of the ways that you can do merchant initiated payments, where you can basically use the pre-approval to either ahead of schedule or retroactively action payments. Another way that you can also do this is in the event that a client doesn't have a pre-approval, you can do another type of merchant initiated payment, which we call merchant initiated pay now, which is basically instead of your client being the one opening up the payment page and putting their payment method in, you can actually do this on their behalf, say over the phone or face-to-face if you're a service-based industry. All you need to do is go and find the invoice in Pinch, hit this button that says Launch Pay Now page, and you'll see here that we can now make a payment from this payment page. So you'll see here we've got the invoices, we've got the other payable invoices, which you could potentially, while on the phone or face-to-face to the client, add some more of these, with discretion. But you can see here that we can now actually key in our payment information and we can make a payment. So from this screen, obviously assuming common sense things here, like your client has given you the authority to, or you are operating under their instruction to do this, you can key in the information and submit that payment on their behalf. So we call this a merchant initiated payment as well. Sue, so does that mean every invoice would need to be manually done? I'm not sure. Could you elaborate on that for me, please, Sue? I'm not sure specifically the context that you're referring to there. Alrighty, moving back on. So hopefully that is most of everything that we're talking about for changing your onboarding. The last thing that I want to talk to you about changing your onboarding is how you can potentially incentivize acceptance. So when we talk about incentivizing acceptance, we're talking about a very specific feature that you can find in the account settings under the Getting Paid tab. And it's this setting down the bottom here called Absorb Fees for all customers on pre-approval. This feature is amazing. There are certain industries where it works better than others, but ultimately, if you are, say, for example, a service-based industry or an industry where you are struggling to have your clients set up pre-approvals, maybe because you've opted not to force the issue and mandate it, enabling this feature effectively changes the way that you take payments in your business into two very distinct streams. Stream one is for any client that does not have a pre-approval, you surcharge them, meaning they pay the processing fee and it will cost them extra to pay your bills. The second stream is by enabling this feature, you're effectively saying to your customer, hey, if you set up a Pinch pre-approval with me, I will pay your processing fees on your behalf as a thank you for setting that up and allowing me to automatically debit you. So you've created an incentive for your customer to be rewarded for giving you that payment method and the authority to debit them. This in particular industries, as I mentioned, pool servicing, home cleaning, things like that, is a really, really powerful tool for rewarding your loyal customers for paying you on time, right? Yes, it's going to cost you a little bit more because you're going to be paying the processing fee on their behalf, but the actual overall benefits for this far outweigh the costs. So have a think about this as a potential strategy. If you're not going to go for the full pre-approval mandation, which I mentioned at the start, this is sort of the next best process, which is rewarding your clients to self-enroll into pre-approvals and be rewarded for doing so. All right, Sue, if you untick the automate payment, yes, correct. It would be fully manual in the sense that you would need to be the one that triggers the debit, but that process checkbox only exists if someone has a pre-approval. So you will have needed to send them the pre-approval invitation. They needed to have accepted it. But if you do disable the automate payment option, nothing will happen automatically anymore, and you will need to go in and manually trigger those payments with those little checkboxes. So we call that the sort of, in the spectrum of Pinch payments, you have fully automated, where every customer is being auto-debited. You have hybrid, which is a little bit of both merchant initiated and auto debit. And then you have full merchant initiated, which is kind of manual, which requires you to go and click all the buttons to trigger the payments. But you are still ultimately in control of that, and you're not relying on your customer to remember to pay you. Hopefully that explains that, Sue. Alrighty, look, that's everything about the first component of what I wanted to talk about today. How are we doing for time? We've got about 20 minutes. That should be enough. So the next thing is that we're going to move on to is change bad payers into good ones. So I went to a seminar a few weeks back now, and a lovely lady named Renee made a really, really impactful point about bad payers in her business. Originally, she was really struggling with some bad payers, and she finally made the decision to get rid of them. And she's never looked back, and her business has been thriving ever since. The phrase that she basically said was that you can't afford to keep bad payers. You might think you can because maybe they're one of your top clients, and you have challenges with them and they owe you a lot of money, but you still need their business. Look, there's probably a size in which a business like that you do need. But for smaller clients that you are having consistent and constant problems with them paying you on time, the pain that they are causing you and the inefficiencies and resource that they are draining from your business is frankly killing it, right? I see far too many businesses that I do one-on-one onboarding calls and audit calls to try and help them improve and utilize Pinch more. And one of the worst things that I see is the first example that I whip up in an age debtors report. I go like this, I go to the dashboard and I go, okay, tell me about Quagmire. Why do they owe you $29,000? Oh, it's complicated, that one. Okay, what about Thomas? It's complicated, right? The only complication there is that you have allowed this customer to pay you not on time because you've literally allowed them to, right? You've continued to do service for them. You've continued to do work for them without them respecting your time and your business, right? So yes, Chris, really good point. It's exceptionally selfish. I literally got off a call this morning with a lovely lady, and we talked about how, they're in a particular industry where they do wholesale stuff, right? And they're working a lot with restaurants and things. And she was expressing some concern that she's seen a lot of them closing lately. And what I said to her very politely was, that's not your fault. It's not your fault that they've not been able to operate their business in a position to stay open. But if you continue to allow customers like that customer and another one and another one and another one to not pay you on time, you might be the next business that closes and your business might collapse, right? So really the whole concept of converting your bad payers into good ones is from a position of, you can't afford to keep a bad customer a bad customer. You need to do one of two things, right? And those two things are really, really simple. You either need to get them on pre-approval and stop doing service for them until their account is in a better position, right? Or you need to get rid of them. That is unfortunately the frank lay of the land, but it is the reality of, especially now we're in a little bit more challenging economic times, inflation, all these things, it's become a lot more challenging. You can't afford to not get paid late. If you have 100 customers and they all pay you on time, I can tell you right now that's better than having 50 good customers that pay you on time and 50, bigger, better customers that don't pay you on time. It's just not worth it. So I would really implore you to think about it. Think about the value of your service to your clients and the fact that really they should be paying you on time. Exactly that, Chris. I see it far too much. The stresses of operating a business, and the pitfalls of getting paid late, and stress is one of them, right? So what can we actually do to try and convert these good payers into bad ones, right? The first is merchant initiated payments that I showed you before. The process for that would be open up a payment link for an invoice, call your customer. Hey, Quagmire, you owe me money. Why haven't you paid me this money? Oh, okay, for a variety of reasons. Okay, how about we set up a payment plan, right? And this is the next thing that I want to talk about, is payment plans and how you can actually utilize them to address outstanding invoices and get your debt, not solved potentially, but like a lot more wheeled back and in control, right? So payment plans, let's talk about those. Payment plans are an amazing tool in Pinch. There are two main types of payment plans. Let me just have a drink of water. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about these things, so I just talk and then forget to drink water and calm my itchy throat out. So two types of payment plans in Pinch. There is payment plans that generate you invoices. 9 times out of 10, most of you won't use those, because what you'll do instead is you will get your clients set up on pre-approval, and then you will just create reoccurring invoice schedules in your accounting system that will then automate the creation and debiting of the service that you're doing weekly, fortnightly, monthly, right? Alternatively, how do you address people like Quagmire here who have $29,000 of outstanding debtors, right? You either give them an ultimatum and say, pay up or go away. It's a very aggressive strategy. I probably wouldn't start with that one, but it is a potential. The thing that I love to start with is payment plans, right? Hey, Quagmire, how about we set you up on a payment plan instead, so that you can pay what you owe me off over time, and then that way you can at least start to have service resume, right? The way to go about doing that is creating your payment plan. So what I'll do is I'll quickly show you how to create a good payment plan. So you click the payment plan button, you select breakdown an existing invoice, and we name our payment plan. Oh, pardon me. I'll call this April webinar pay in 13. I'm just going to use a very random number because I like it. All you need to do is name your payment plan, and then all you need to do is set up your reoccurring payment schedule. So this is the number of payments that you want to chop someone's invoice up into. So all you do is click the button, put the number 13 in, because that's how many payments we want to chop the larger invoice up into. And then you just define how often you want those to happen. So let's say, for example, I want these to come out every 7 days. So 13 payments every week until the invoice is fully paid off. That's it. It took me 10, you saw it. It took me 10 seconds to build a payment plan. And what I can now do with that payment plan is I can go and find Quagmire. I can go and find one of their invoices, let's say this big chunky $8,000 one, and I can invite Quagmire to this payment plan to help them pay down what they owe you, right? Two flows here. If Quagmire, this customer doesn't already have a pre-approval, you can see here the plan goes straight into a pending state, and Pinch will have emailed the client the invitation link to set up the pre-approval, right? What this looks like is this subscription page, right? So he's going to follow the link. He's going to open this up. He's going to be able to see that he's acknowledging these terms. This is the expected schedule of debits. How would you like to pay? There's your relevant fees. Set up your payment plan. It's that simple, right? You confirm that subscription, and Quagmire will now be debited today, and then on the 1st and the 8th and the 15th for these amounts until this invoice is fully paid. This is an amazing tool, because what you are doing is you are effectively extending an olive branch to your customer and saying, hey, I acknowledge that you are either struggling or there's a reason why you can't pay me on time. So how about we set something up that is flexible for you, that still allows me to do and continue service for you, whilst also not destroying or bankrupting your business by paying my invoice, right? So this is a really, really effective tool. And for any of you that have a big, chunky age debtors number, like this pretend account, thank goodness, please reach out to us, ask us about these features, right? Either go out there and give them a shot yourself and start using them, or if you feel like you need some more support, reach out to us. We are always happy to offer advice and counsel on how best to use the feature to get this number down, right? So that you aren't got outstanding payments anymore, right? So definitely give it a go. So that's payment plans in a nutshell. The last one is really about managing the conversation, right? So this is talking about a little bit more of the customer success elements of ensuring that for any of your bad payers, you are creating an environment in which they know that if they don't become a better payer, that you're either going to stop servicing them or you're going to change the conditions of the service. And the best thing that you can possibly do is be transparent with them about those things, right? Because really, when you think about it, especially with things like the payment plans feature, you are offering an assistance to your client to help them. You're not just, kicking their door down and saying, give me your money, right? You are offering them flexibility. You are offering them assistance. You are trying to help them to become a good payer, all right? So the best thing that you can do is manage the conversation in a way that reminds them that you are trying to help them, that you are there to offer them service, but ultimately the behavior that they're exhibiting by not paying you on time is impacting your business, right? So one of the things here that I really, really recommend is don't misrepresent why you are trying to set someone up on a pre-approval or why you are trying to set someone up on a payment plan. Tell them why. Be truthful. 9 out of 10 people will respond really well to you being completely honest with them about why you're doing these things. So instead of being like, oh, it's just what we do, tell them why you're doing it. We have a massive age debtors problem. We have 5 full-time staff members that manage our accounts when really we should have 2 or 1. It's a massive resourcing problem in my business that means that I can't deliver you an as efficient service or good quality service because I'm having to spend all this time chasing customers, including you. It would really help me if you set up Pinch pre-approval so that we can automate more of this so I don't have to spend my time chasing you. Does that sound good to you? If it sounds good to them, sounds good to you, set it up, make it happen. So that's also a part of the controlling the conversation. All right, let me take a short little break here and answer some questions before we go into our last little sections. We run a training business with limited spots available. Is it possible to put a limit on how many people can sign up to each payment plan? No, Isabel, but that's a really interesting feature idea. Yeah, potentially adding a number of those that can be set up at a time. Yeah, very interesting. What I might do is I'll just put it in a separate tab here. I'll just create a little product form and add that as a potential request. Max number of registrations for a payment plan. Really cool idea. Definitely something interesting. I could definitely see that. We do have some planned changes to our payment plans feature where we're very likely to be splitting it into subscriptions and products. And that would probably be a feature release that suits the products component where you are selling like a product service, which I imagine you'd have a number of tickets or openings like you've mentioned. So that's a really good feature. What I'll do is I'll write up a little thing and I'll submit it to our product team so that it's there, and we can sort of triage that and see how valuable it would be. All right, Jackson, how is the payment plan start date determined? Invoice due date or when the customer enters their payment method? Great question, Jackson. So it depends. If the client does not have a pre-approval already, the start date of the payment plan is entirely determined by when they actually activate the payment plan. So when they put their payment method in and they say confirm subscription, that starts the payment plan, right? Now, in most cases, people will have a first payment coming out straight away, so it would start immediately. Some people set their plans up to have a little bit of a delay. It's entirely up to you, but it is defined by when they set up the payment plan. Alternatively, and what I might be able to do here is just show you what this looks like. Pardon me. So take for example, Daphne here, who already has a pre-approval. What we can do is if I was to enroll, pardon me, Daphne into a payment plan for one of their invoices, what you'll notice is there's no big blue warning text here that says, hey, we're going to be sending an email because they don't have a pre-approval. We already have a pre-approval for Daphne. So you as the merchant actually have the option to schedule the specific date that you would like this payment plan to start. All right, so say I wanted it to start on the 31st of the 5th. I can now schedule that. Well, let's air it out probably because there's something weird going on with the plan. But you can schedule that payment plan to start on a specific date that you would like to, or that you've agreed upon with your client, right? So they're the two differences there, Jackson. So hopefully that answers that for you. Cool. All right. Well, look, let's move on to the last section before I just do a little wrap up on the Fiserv acquisition information. So this is the section really about fully automating your cash flow certainty. So this is talking about your already good payers, right? So how do you sort of manage your good payers that already pay you on time, right? Probably two different ways that you could go about this. Option one is you leave them as they are, right? So if they've been directly transferring you money via EFT into your bank account for 15 years and they do that on time and they're not causing you a problem, as long as you're happy to still be managing whatever, manual reconciliation or process that you need to do there with those payments, if you're happy to do that, continue to do so, right? The better thing that you can do is see if you can migrate that client over to pinch payments. Because what they're doing is if they're already paying you on time and they are paying you consistently and on time, allowing them to set up the pre-approval to automate that so it comes out on the due date is actually going to be a benefit to them as well. Because now they no longer need to go through that manual transfer process. The direct debit can just come out of their account. It reconciles with your account nice and easily, saving you time. And the net win there is that no one forgets about anything and that it's fully automated for all parties. And your client can still get visibility over these things, which is really good. So one thing that I'll touch on here is that the customer portal is a really, really effective way to slowly transition your existing good payers over to Pinch by giving them somewhere that they can actually access invoice related information from you without having to ask you for statements and things like that. So I'll quickly whip up one of my customer portal accounts for a customer that I have and just get it loading in the background because it takes a little while to load. Let me log in. All right, that's starting to load, which is nice. And I'll just let it keep loading. All right, so this is a customer that's been set up to have a pre-approval, but they've also opted into or been invited to our Pinch customer portal. For those of you that don't know, the Pinch customer portal is designed to be a one-stop user account for any Pinch client, sorry, payer, we call them payers, basically your clients are our payers, for them to have an account that they can access that connects to any other Pinch connected merchant. They can see all of their invoices, they can make payments, and they can view tax receipts and things like that, all from within the portal. And what it looks like is this, right? So once you've invited them or they've enrolled into it, they have access to this portal. And from there, they can see whether or not their invoices are scheduled to be automatically debited, like this one from March. And all of the data in here is not accurate, so it's just for visual representation's sake. They can make payments. So if they've saved a payment method already, they can make a payment via whatever saved payment method they've chosen or that you offer. They can then also download their tax invoices, right? So say, for example, this paid invoice here, your client can go in here and view this and download the actual Xero invoice straight from Xero via PDF. So your client sort of has a lot more full visibility over paying you, which whether or not they're paying you via Pinch, this portal still works. It's not just Pinch payments. If they're paying you via EFT, if they're paying you via another gateway, anything like that, they're still going to be able to see all of this invoicing information in their Pinch account, and they're going to be able to utilize the features. And hopefully over time, it does help them transition into setting up a Pinch pre-approval so that you can automatically debit them. Cool, so that's one of the ways. All right, we've pretty much run out of time now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to show one last thing really, really briefly. And it is our Pinch Chrome extension called Pinch Plus. I do quickly just have to disable my password manager because they are unfortunately not compatible. But what they are is we have a system called Pinch Plus. It is a Chrome and Microsoft Edge extension that allows you to see information, really powerful Pinch related information, whilst not leaving Xero or QuickBooks, right? So you can actually get all the information that you need from Pinch straight into your Xero or QuickBooks file, which is really, really cool. Oh, I've just got to log into my password manager and then disable it. Fun times. Right, I'm in. Let me just, Pinch test account 3. All right, I'm in the right spot. Let me quickly disable my extensions and get rid of that. All righty, beauty. So what I'll show you now is the Chrome extension. So you'll see this little icon in the top right-hand corner. When you've downloaded the extension, either in Chrome or Microsoft Edge, when you are in a compatible system, which is Xero, QuickBooks, and then some other systems like Quick B2B and some other things, you will see a Pinch icon. Now your one won't say test, mine's a specific test one, and all you need to do to open it is click the button, and it will launch this awesome little side panel, right? Which now brings in information when you are looking at invoices or customers, right? So from here, all you need to do is go and find a customer that you want to find out what their status is in Pinch without having to actually go back into Pinch. So let's take Elaine Duffy, for example. We can see that Elaine Duffy has had a pre-approval requested of them, but they haven't set it up yet. And they don't currently have a customer portal, right? So what you can actually do from this page is if you click this button, it's going to open up their Pinch pre-approval enrollment page, which I showed much earlier in the session. And you could potentially call Elaine and get them onto a pre-approval right now. Alternatively, let's say, for example, when you're raising the next invoice or you're generating a statement, you could potentially just copy their pre-approval link, paste it into the statement, hi, Elaine, can you please follow the below link to set up your automated payments with Pinch Payments, right? So we're surfacing to you all this really powerful information about your customers and whether or not they are or aren't on pre-approval. Let's go to Abbott. So we can see that Abbott Silver has an active pre-approval, meaning that we have a payment method stored for them. And what's also really powerful about this is when we go and look at an invoice, say for example 0032 here, you can see that I actually have the ability to process this payment. So we can do a merchant initiated payment straight from within your accounting software. You do not have to go into Pinch. You can use the extension to say, I want to take the money for this payment right now. It'll spin for a bit, and it will actually go and attempt to debit the client with their pre-approval for this invoice. Boom, payment processed. Super, super easy, bringing you the Pinch-related tools straight into the environment that you're already spending most of your time in, which is your accounting software. So for any of you that have not already downloaded the Chrome extension and you're a Pinch merchant, go and download it. It is amazing. The easiest way to go and find it is just head to the dashboard section of the Pinch system, hit this big purple little bar at the top, and go and download the extension. Cool. Alrighty, look, that is everything that I wanted to cover regarding the three main steps about changing how you take payments in your business and removing late payment. The last thing, while we've got a couple more, well, we don't really have any more time, but I'll try not to take any more of it, is to just briefly talk about Fiserv. So for any of you that have sort of kept up to date with the news about Pinch payments, last week or the week before, it was announced that Pinch had been purchased by Fiserv. So Fiserv is one of the largest acquirers globally. I think they're something like, you know, top 180 companies in the world or something like that. They are a huge, huge acquirer that facilitates a lot of the payments here in Australia. They have purchased Pinch Payments because they see a massive opportunity to expand the offering of the Pinch Payments platform to all of Australia, like APAC, for all SMEs, small, medium enterprise, all the way through, right? They love the Pinch system. They love what we're trying to do with solving late payment, and they really wanted to help us achieve that goal, right? So the main things as Pinch merchants that I want to ensure to you is that it's this bottom point, is that based on everything that we agreed as part of the sale to Fiserv, is that Pinch Payments remains Pinch Payments, right? We are the same team. The founders are still here. All of the same people that you've dealt with and that you've had the great experience with our market leading support, and the way that we conduct ourselves at Pinch Payments is staying the same, right? So if anything, the only thing that changes is the fact that now, with more resources behind us, with Fiserv and their acquiring arm, we're going to be able to actually offer you more features, all sorts of things at a lot more rapid rate. So hopefully it's a net win for everybody, and you should see some really exciting changes happening quite quickly now that we have the backing of Fiserv and we have the ability to really ramp up our production, hire more technical team, get more features into the system, and take your feedback on board, and really continue to improve Pinch so there's the market leading payment system. So look, that's really everything that I wanted to discuss with you all today. Hopefully you got some value out of those features and understand how best to utilize them. If you do have any questions and you need additional training or you need additional support, please definitely reach out to us. The easiest way to get in contact with us is by clicking this button in the bottom right-hand corner of your Pinch account, and it will take you to a raise a support request form. It does not matter what the support request is, if it's a feature request, if you think there's a bug in the system, if you just need a question answered or you don't understand how to use a feature, reach out to us. We will point you in the right direction, or we will help solve the problem. So that is what we're all about here. We really want to make sure that you know that you have us as a resource to leverage, be it from a system or be it from us being able to help you and guide you. Excellent. All right. Sorry that we ran a little bit over time, everyone. That's everything that I wanted to cover today in the masterclass. So really, it's just now a case of if you do have any sort of wrap-up questions or anything else that's pressing, definitely reach out in the public chat, and we'll get those questions answered for you. But otherwise, thank you all for attending. For those of you watching back, thank you for reviewing the webinar, and look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Where hopefully we'll have a bit of an exciting topic coming up for you. Oh yes, I do remember. Yeah, Isabella, that is a very good feature. That definitely has come up before and has been documented, as DK mentioned. Yeah, really interesting. Yeah, like a cutoff threshold feature. Yeah, another good one. Hi, Chris. No, unfortunately, Joe is not on today. Some life things have happened, so he wasn't able to jump in the chat today. But the lovely DK jumped in and helped out. Sue, yes, if you head to, if you actually download the extension, I'm not sure if you saw it on the right-hand side, but DK, who is in the chat, who actually built the Chrome extension, created a how to use the extension video that is embedded in the extension. So once you've actually downloaded it and you open it up from within your accounting software, you'll be able to see the guided little, it goes for about 4 minutes, and he shows you everything and how to use it. Really handy. We do collect some big payments and it would be great. Yeah, Isabel, it might be worth you reaching out to us via that support email and just sort of giving us a little bit of understanding about how big we're talking about. Direct debits are quite risky to both us and to you as a business if you're not super familiar with how that works with things like disputes and chargebacks. We don't really like to make the $10,000 limit any higher because it is very dangerous for us to do so. And in most cases, if we're talking about, if you're doing $80, $100, $200,000 payments, it's usually better for you to get those via EFT anyway, because it actually protects you as the merchant a lot more. So Pinch is not designed for those massive organizational payments. But yeah, definitely reach out to us. If we're talking like $20,000, $30,000, there are some occasions where we will choose to take on that risk and increase your account limit, but it is on a case-by-case basis. Jackson, could you please quickly run through how to set up a subscription that's $200 on the start date and then $50 each month for 6 months? I'm getting an error and can't process. Yeah, there's two ways. So Jackson, I guess the question there is, do you have an invoice that you're chopping up or are you creating the invoices? Oh, it's a breakdown. So you've got an existing invoice, because if you don't have an existing invoice and you're effectively creating a subscription, you're better off doing that type of configuration by just creating the relevant invoices in your accounting system and asking the client to set up the pre-approval, because then you can define. But okay, existing invoice. Yeah, I can very quickly do that for you. Let me just get my stream back up on the thing. So all you would need to do in a scenario like that is head to the plans and subscription section, add payment, breakdown, and I'll just call this one Jackson test. Two components here, right? So it sounds to me like you have a fixed component there, which is your $200 on the start date. So you need to add a $200 fixed payment that happens immediately. And then after that, you need to do 6 payments, or in this case, maybe you want to specify the dollar amount. Yep, so $50. Amount $50 happening after 1 month, after the initial payment, happening reoccurring every month until the invoice is fully paid. That would be how I would facilitate what you're looking for. So you can see here that we then have a $200 that's paid immediately. and then $50 happens every month until the invoice is fully paid. Now, the only drawback here would be is if your invoice is not exactly $50, you would potentially end up with some outstanding, or in the event that the invoice was slightly less than the last $50 payment amount, it would just debit whatever's left, $47.86, $43, whatever it is. Yeah, no, oh, well, look, if you do encounter that same issue again, Jackson, definitely do a little screen recording or screenshot and send us the link and reach out via the support email, and we'll look into why that might be happening. In most cases, it's because you might have like unchecked something, or you've set this up but then gone and switched over to a generate payment plan, which would then not be compatible, if that makes sense. So sometimes it's usually just some sort of small little thing. So yeah, give it another go. If it still doesn't work, reach out to support and we'll find out why it's not working for you. Awesome. All right, well, look, I'm going to wrap it up there. I do have a bit of a busy afternoon and need to head on to some other things. So thank you all for attending and look forward to seeing you all on the next Merchant Masterclass. Thank you all.